Hi everyone. So I want to talk to you about a few things. So I'm going to tell you about the story as if I am the roommate. Okay. So I came home. I walked inside. I smelled something. I wasn't sure if it was decomposition or feces. I opened the fridge and I determined that's not where the smell was coming from. So I decided to cook a hamburger on the grill and fire up the grill. So now we're going to do a time lapse of time. Hypothetically speaking, to cook a medium burger on the grill, it takes approximately 8 minutes. So I have just spent 8 minutes cooking. Another 8 minutes to assemble and eat the freshly grilled burger with the smell of decomposition in the background. A foul smell. Time elapsed now so far 16 minutes. My first show of concerns, the roommate didn't appear to be acting like his normal self the past weekend. Whose car was parked in the driveway when I came home for lunch. He wouldn't answer his door, the phone calls, or text. So I called my landlord. Yeah, I called my landlord. And he says, you know what, you have permission to break down the door if you need to. So I decided instead I was going to Snapchat with my other roommate, who was at work. Okay, so another 10 more minutes or so. And some more time has lapsed. So he asked me, he says, hey, can you come pick me up from work and bring me back to the house? So time lapse approximately, I'd say about 45 minutes more, because once we're back at the house, we attempted to make contact with our roommate with no luck. And then we called 911. Time lapse another 7 minutes or so. We're now at 1 hour and 18 minutes. Delayed while smelling decomposition. Okay. Something foul, and with the knowledge that our roommate appeared to be in crisis prior to the weekend. So we decided to call the police this Monday afternoon. And now we're awaiting the slow response team for an additional hour and 16 minutes for the deputy to arrive. So right now we're at a time lapse of about 2.5 hours. So no one knew the condition of our roommate behind the door. We await the investigator now, waiting an additional 1+ hour of time. Okay, so as we wait for the investigator now, 1 hour and plus of our time lapse, an additional. Okay, so the roommates are allowed to roam, but at the moment, the most critical time of all was when I got home for lunch and smelled decomp. And when the corporal arrived, because all of this time that's passed by, and our roommate is behind the door. Nobody knows if he's alive or not. Okay? Obviously, he wasn't. Obviously, by that point, he couldn't be saved. So, however, it doesn't make the matter any less urgent. Okay? Keep that in mind. Because no one knew of his condition. The total time lapse of when I got home until the time the corporal opened the door, that's nearly 3 hours. Nearly 3 hours later to help our roommate in possible crisis. So, all right, guys, so let's take a look at this now. What needs to be remembered here is it was reported by the roommates that although they were not aware of any mental health issues, they had alleged that his behavior prior to the weekend was abnormal, and they had enough concern that they called both the landlord and 911 services. He did have access to weapons. 911 still took their time to get there, and they still allowed them to wander throughout the residence doing chores and such, even after the police arrived. At no time did anyone mention decomposition or feces on the 911 call, which would still leave possibility that he could still be alive. The police were coming for at-risk issue. wellness check. Not a death issue. No one knows of his condition in the room. He could have been having a medical emergency even. Why was 911 not called on Friday? Why was the smell never mentioned until the police asked the roommates? Nothing was taped off. The scene was not secured. The roommates were allowed to continue doing their daily chores such as laundry and chatting on the phone. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of all of this. Let me hear your thoughts.